Hello there, my name is Bruce Rain from Breakers Creations, and welcome to tonight's Workshop and Wine live stream. Let me just press a button here so I can actually see the chat. There we go. There's the button pressed. Having a few technical issues here today, so specifically with this camera up here, I believe it is something related to the HDMI connector in the camera, because I've tried different cables and I'm getting the same problem. I suspect the little thingy is been yanked and sort of connection's not too good with the camera. So I do have to try and see if I can fix that at some stage. But hopefully, I'll be able to get things working just enough for us to work tonight. I feel like I'm a bit low. There we go. A bit higher there now. I'm going to do my normal thing. I'm going to say hello to people. I'm going to say hello to Dana Does Stuff. Dana, I hope he is still awake. I know it's very, very late where he is at the moment. Thomas Armstrong, hello. Jack68K, hello. Ryan Joffrey, hello. Paul Bailey, hello. Jeremy's Vintage Hillbilly Shack. Yeah, I've forgotten how to talk. Foxhound 477, Max Button, hello there. Jay from the House of Moth, hello there. Breezy, hello there. Golden Badger. How many glasses so far? This is actually only my second glass, can you believe that? I would have had a little bit more, but I've been running around trying to sort out some technical issues. I came here, went to sit down, normal thing that I do, just check see all the cameras work. And this one wasn't working, the one up there, up there. And so I've spent the last sort of 15 minutes faffing around trying to get that thing to work. I think it's working. No, it's not. Okay. It looks like it's working, but it's not. It's a lie. That's a still image from a while ago. It's not current. See, I've just unplugged it. Did nothing. The light's on. That's something. I'm going to disconnect it. That's good. Disconnected it. And try, see what it's got. A little small light, big light, flashing, big light. Okay, so let's just not touch anything. Far out. Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Steamy here at the moment. Steamy in Sydney. Shout out to Max Button, who was in the chat, who I said hello to before. I saw him today. He came and collected some repairs from me. He landed 4 SE30s on me ages ago. Last year, the year before last, long time ago, very long time ago. And I took forever to sort them out. 2 of them straightforward, just recap and away you go. But one of them was the battery damage one, and I did actually spend quite a lot of time on that. And then I got to a certain point where I just looked at it and went, no hope. No hope with this one whatsoever. And then I've got another SE30 of his here, which is Sad Mac chiming. So yeah, perfect shiny. I dream about perfect shiny solder joints. Is this normal? Sure, why not? I love these look at these perfect little shiny solder balls there. They're lovely. Apples and oranges. That white wine looks crisp. This has been sitting in the glass for a while, so it's getting a little bit less than desirable. We'll finish it off and get cracking with another one. So there we go. So just a reminder to everyone, if you've never watched one of my Workshop and Wine live streams before, here are a couple of things. First of all, if for some ridiculous reason, I don't know what it might be, but let's just imagine for a second that you might want to actually watch it again, you do need to bookmark the link, because I make these unlisted when I complete them. The reason I do that is I do have a tendency when I'm making these ones, when I'm drinking, to, first of all, get a little bit sloppy, and second of all, swear a lot. So if these are the sorts of things that might offend you, then I would say probably recommend not to watch it. But if not, watch away. And as I say, if you might want to save it for checking something out, you will need to bookmark it. So that's just how it works with the thing. All right, let's get this wine happening. I've got it in a little cooler bag, so this should be nice and cool. It doesn't take long for things to not be cool in this part of the world at the moment. So anyhow, I got to show you. Well, now I should just mention a couple of things. In my last live stream, I talked very briefly about a 16-inch MacBook Pro, 15-inch MacBook Pro that I got my hands on through a friend, and I repaired it because it was broken. And then after I got it, it was activation locked, meaning it was tied to an Apple ID, and I couldn't reformat it, stick a new system on it. I couldn't activate it effectively. Well, thankfully, through a lot of work, I'm just going to change this camera view here. God, this mouse is annoying me. I don't know why, but I just seem to be losing the mouse signal. I don't know if it's a USB issue or if it's an interference issue, but I just keep having issues with the mouse. It just stops. And then you have to keep moving, and it's like, and then it jumps. It's really annoying. So anyhow, through a lot of, sort of work, ultimately, I managed to get my phone details sent to the previous owner of this laptop, this 15-inch MacBook Pro 2018 model with a touch bar. He phoned me. I told him how to log into his iCloud account, go to Find My, show up all of his devices listed, and remove any devices that he didn't have in his possession anymore, which he did, and then I was able to get that laptop unlocked. So I'm very, very happy about that. I'm now that is now my new main laptop, the 2018 MacBook Pro. It's an Intel 6-core i7 2.2 gigahertz. Pretty swift. It's faster than any other laptop I've got. Bruce the swearing part. SE30 logic board at the very least, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, SE30's, gotta love them. I do have to try and get this one working, but there are a few things I need to do tonight, and we'll just plod our way through them. So would I enjoy a 20 degrees C day with a slightly cool and slightly humid air? Not sure. I don't mind heat. I'm not a big fan of humidity. And of course, that just varies here in Sydney. Sometimes we have incredibly dry summers, and then we have incredibly moist ones. And this is not the moistest, but this is definitely a pretty moist summer. Cool. What am I doing? Okay, I've got something in the ultrasonic cleaner. I'm just going to take it out, give it a wash, and then put it in the dryer. So I'm just going to go do that here. I had this cleaning just before I started live streaming, and I would like to get it out. This is another SE30 board that I have repaired. This is one that I worked on, I think it was in the last live stream, or the one before. And essentially the problem with this one was that it was giving us a horizontal line for the display output. So we weren't getting anything but a horizontal line. And that turned out to be, it was either UF8 or UG8. We replaced both of them. It could have been both of them, it could have been one of them, but we replaced both of them, and that fixed the problem, and it is now working beautifully. And so now I am cleaning it, get all of my fluxy flux off it, and getting it ready to send back to the owner. So right at this moment, I'm just rinsing it in a tub of isopropyl alcohol to get all of the distilled water and washing detergent off it. Then I shall give it a bit of a shake to get off the excess, and get a little bit of isopropyl alcohol in a little cut on my finger, which isn't that wonderful? Feels just lovely. And then I pop it into the oven around about sort of 50, 60 degrees C for about an hour. Dries it up good. Good, mate. Good, mate. Yeah, I mean, at the moment it's not that hot, but it's a little bit humid. So, anyhow, you know what I do love about the heat? I love being able to get clothes dry really fast. You know, you hang them out, dry in no time. Okay. I was, anyhow, that's enough of that. I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to start doing some stuff. So these is some of this RAM that I make up, the Satanic Mac Club. That's one of the things I can just always do whenever I've got any spare time, is just sit there and make up more RAM. So I've got heaps of chips. I've got heaps of the little PCBs. Can just make them up anytime I want. I do what I want. Okay, so I just want to show you this thing which I'm reviewing at the moment. I just banged the cable. Does that mean I'm going to lose my image? Probably. Okay, is it 6 p.m. right? Yeah, it's 6 here. So down the east coast of Australia, with the exception of Queensland, they don't observe daylight savings time, so they're an hour behind us, I think. Yeah, so Sydney, ACT, Victoria, we're all in the same time zone, and yeah, it's 6:13 right now. So anyhow, this is a thing. Hey, cool, the camera's still working. This is a thing that I got sent to me for a product review, and I have started reviewing it, and I will continue reviewing it, and I have to say, it is an extremely nifty little piece of kit. And that'll all be revealed in the review, but I've just been very impressed with it. It's a FNIRSI. FNIRSI. It's spelled FNIRSI. You tell me how that's meant to be spelled. I don't know. Hang on, I've just got to check here. I've got a message from my wife. You got to pay attention then. Oh wow, my parcel has been delivered. Excellent. I think that might be a scam message. What do you think? Do. Okay. Yep. All good. Now, okay, so that's all done. The messages has been sent, so it's all good. I have acknowledged the message. I didn't need to do much more. She knew that I was doing a live stream. I've got this thing. So this is basically a multimeter. Okay. FNIRSI. New Retro Repair, hello there. Thank you for joining, and I'm glad I'm streaming at a time that it is good for you, because this is one of the big problems with live streaming from Australia. You know, what time do you do it? It's like, for instance, the big bad biologist, who is someone that I have a huge amount of respect for, and he does live streams, but he always does them at times when I'm fast asleep. Just always, you know, like crack of dawn, middle of the morning, like 2 in the morning or something for me, which I can't, 2 or 3 in the morning. I can't do it. Can't fucking do it. Now, this is a multimeter, okay? That's fine and dandy. It's a bit bulky for a multimeter, I'll grant you. But this little multimeter has a secret. Well, it's not really a secret because it's written on it right there. Oscilloscope. So this is a multimeter and an oscilloscope in one. And while this is not the best oscilloscope you will find, I own an oscilloscope up there, quite a nice one, and it's fantastic, and I love it, and I will never regret spending the money on it. But for what I do, for what I use an oscilloscope for, something like this would be fine. So this is one where you've just got your normal multimeter functionality here. It's a full auto multimeter if you want to go down that path, or of course you can go into selecting specifically. You got volts, you can select here, but no, where is it? Which button do I press? Do I press the middle one? Hold, nope. Up, right, nope. That one, move, yeah. So press the move button. So that I can change between AC voltage and DC voltage. We've got here, what is that? That's continuity or diode mode. And then we've got resistance. Then we've got capacitance. We've got temperature. So that's 26 degrees C here. I think I can. Oh yeah, we go 79F. So for your F folks out there, there's the F. And then we've got current, small current, high current. So there's all your normal multimeter functions. No big deal there. But then the other thing this has is it has a signal generator. So we can generate sine wave, square wave, sawtooth wave, half wave, whatever wave you want. You choose the wave. So let's go to a square wave. How about we do that? And then we've got a frequency of 1000 hertz. We're all doing good now. Then I can go to my oscilloscope. There we go. Now, here is my signal generator. My signal generator is right. Oh, jeez, come on. Right. Ha. Then I'll grab one of my oscilloscope probes, and I'll go connect the negative to the negatoro, and the positive to the positivo, and then I can just go in here and press auto. It'll just go in and go analyze it, and then boom, there it is. I can then. How cool is that? Very cool. I know you're all thinking it. So I'm doing a review on this, as I say. So far I've been extremely impressed with it. The reason why I'm so impressed with it is that when I am needing to use an oscilloscope, it's usually just checking to see whether I've got a clock signal or something like that. Something relatively basic. I'm not having to do really hardcore stuff. And this allows me to do that without having the bulk of having to bring the whole thing down. Actually, it's a very important point you make there, Jeremy. Of course it's made in China. Where else would it be made? But yes, you're exactly right. It's not even necessarily, it's got that almost like sorry, that was a raven. It's got almost like that kind of Arduino font kind of look about it. But yeah, you can tell when you look at the font. You might even have option for different fonts. Wouldn't surprise me if it did, because it's that sort of a device. But when you go to the menu, and we'll go to signal generator, it's got. Oh, sorry, that's not where I wanted to go to. Multimeter. Enter. Then yeah, this sort of font here. You're quite right. That sort of serify font. It does have that sort of look about it. But I'm not fussed. I don't care about the font. Okay. Okay, so Dana is saying... Dana actually sent me an audio recording of how he thinks Fenersi should be pronounced. I'm going to say Fenersi because I've got to do a product review. I've got to say it. I have to say it in the product review, so I've got to say Fenersi. I'm going to say Fenersi. That's what I'm going to say. Don't think any less of me. All right, so I'm going to move the Fenersi, so I've got a bit of desk room here for now. And here's another thing that I want to test out. I'm going to test this out now. These, because I have to be plural with this because there's two of them. Two there, one there. These are some tweezers, solder tweezers. And I have been testing these out. And I have been, I shouldn't say I've been testing them out. I have barely used them. But I've played around with the settings. And boy, are they confusing. But that's okay. I'm getting used to it. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Dana's just sent me his Fenersi. I'm not even sure if I can play it on the thing. I'm not sure how to do that through OBS, but I probably can. So I've got that set on 400 degrees. See? Now, okay, so these are solder tweezers. What I like about these, they're powered by USB-C, and that's great. And they can actually be powered by even just a standard 5-volt 3-amp USB-C connection. So you can power these from your little phone, power bank for your phone. Now, that is really handy because it means you've effectively got yourself a little portable soldering iron if you need it. You can just connect it to that sort of power supply, go and do some soldering. These can actually be run as dual, so as tweezers, or just as a single one. You can just you power up one or the other. So you can then just use it just as a soldering iron, just as a single soldering iron. I'm not a big fan of the little conical tips, but it is designed for removing very, very small components. So, Carthor, hello there. Can you play Doom on it? Probably. I wouldn't be at all surprised. I'm not sort of CPU it uses, but I would be absolutely amazed if you couldn't program that thing to play Doom. Okay, so what I really like about this is they're made well. Okay, I can't deny that. I've opened them up and looked inside, and they're made quite well. These tips, they're... Oh, God, fuck, I can't remember what they are. JB, I can't remember. Some brand name. But they're the same tips as, like they're generic tips. Well, not generic, but they're made by someone else. So there are a whole range of different tips you can put in these. Not that really is much of an issue if you're using them as tweezers, but they do actually sell ones that have got big, wide spade tips on the end of them. So you can actually use them to put down and heat multiple pins on an IC at the same time, which I think is quite appealing. I may end up looking at those. They didn't send me those, so I can't test them, but it's quite nifty. But the thing that really got me with these tweezers is they heat so fucking fast. It's extraordinary. I mean, like literally within a few seconds, you're melting solder. And I'll show you. This is the ambient room temperature here. I'll get me some solder. And I'm going to wrap it around these pins. Just be careful. What I'm doing here at the moment, I know this is cold, but I generally recommend against handling the end of your soldering iron tip at any stage because it could be hot. Okay, so I'll just wrap that around with some solder there. I'm going to switch it on. You ready? You watch how fast this heats up. And 1, 2, there we go, melting. That was less than 5 seconds before that solder was melting. That is really impressive shit. I don't know if you guys impressed. I'm impressed. This is my impressed face. Yeah. Right, now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to try using these for a recap. But before I do, I need to just check, because I've got this board here that looks like it needs a recap, but it's got a job number on it, and I should probably check the job number first to see that I do need to recap it, because it might be the job number, the job ticket might actually say, hey, do not recap. Custom has specifically asked, do not recap. I mean, I can't imagine they would have, but I'm just going to check. Ooh, 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 ooh. Come on, where's the link, you stupid bastard? What's going on? What's going on? Okay, I'll sort this out. All good. Everything's fine now. Okay, let's go here to the... Okay, recapping it says. Recapping. So that's a good sign. Description of problem. No description of problem given. There's the provider. Okay, yeah, it's a standard recapping job. I don't know why I haven't done it already. I've had it for friggin' ages. Sorry. Let's grab it. And let's see how well we can recap using this fancy device. And let me click on here so I can see the chat. There we go. Chick would never be impressed with 5 seconds. Maybe if she's waiting to get out of there. Oh, man. It is warm. Just steamy. I better put my fancy glasses on so that I can see, because, my vision is not getting any better with age. It's not how it works. So let's see if we can take some of these off. So this is an LC 575. Gotta love it. I'm just going to plonk this on here. It's melting the solder. I've got a sneaking suspicion. Yeah. Okay, came off. I was worried that there might have been ow! It's fucking hot. I was worried there might have been a component adhesive under it, but there isn't. So we're basically just trying to get the heat, because these pads are so wide, like this, you can see how wide those pads are, just having to get that heat all the way through. Because it melts the solder just immediately on contact. Oh, that one came off way easier. It's not off, but it moved. What is going on? Okay. I think this is going to take some getting used to. I never swear. You can prove it. Prove it. I never swore. Oh, fuck. What is this stupid thing here? Tweezers. I've got some plastic on here. You know, when you're using these for taking off like a smaller component, say something on this side here, don't use them for putting them on. I mean that most sincerely. Trying to put a component in place with solder tweezers is just an exercise in frustration. But if you're trying to remove a little, ceramic capacitor like this, just boom, off. It just comes off so quickly and easily. It's really good for that. Even some of these larger components. You could probably do these 3-pin diodes. Well, actually, that's a transistor. But you could do these 3-pin transistors with no real issue. Sorry, up here. 3-pin transistors just there. But because these surface mount electrolytics have that wide pad, then with the plastic there, it's just a matter of getting that heat where you need it. And it starts moving almost immediately, but then you just got to get it off. That's all right. Oh, that came off super easy. That one, I think I've got to hone my skills. Now this is where I really like it. 3 capacitors here. Look at them. They're in this. They're just surrounded by plastic. Oh, you like the pop short, did you? It's actually not a short, believe it or not. Well, I'm sure it became a short. But that was just a really, really old tantalum capacitor, and it probably just failed short, and then that caused the big. But like, there were a few people that actually said to me, "Oh, well, they contacted me like, oh, was that cap on backwards?" It's like, no, it wasn't on backwards. It's just bloody old. That was from a 2FX. Someone worked with me here. When did a 2FX come out? What, 87, 88, something like that? Around about the time of Locomotion by. Kylie Minogue. That cap have just, lost its will to live, basically. We've got, this is surrounded by plastic. You've got plastic here. BC Jeffrey, hello there. And I should say, Mark Anig, hello there. I didn't say hello. Kylie was, yes, Kylie was. So, Pate Bonza. Where are you from? Just curious, because not everyone in the world knows who Kylie is. People in Australia certainly know who Kylie is. And people in the UK know who Kylie is. But in other parts of the world, no one really knows who Kylie is. Except for that, there was one song that Can't Get You Out of My Head. That did quite well, didn't it? Forgot about that. She's still going. I think she's going to come and do a tour out here or something soon. So if anyone is wondering what I'm drinking tonight, and I know you all are, just desperate for answers, I'm drinking a very, very cheap, and I mean that most sincerely, Semillon Sauvignon Blanc blend. And that's one of the wines that Australia does incredibly well and incredibly cheaply. When they do the blends, it gives them that opportunity to get the balance perfectly right, even though they might be dealing with some grapes that aren't necessarily at their absolute finest. Australia does Semillon very, very well. Australia Sauvignon Blanc very, very well. When they blend the two together, they can actually end up making really, really good wine for really, really cheap. And I like the sound of that. Smooth! Yeah, so in from Arizona. Okay, yeah, fair enough. So there we go. So you probably know her from that song. Just can't get you out of my head. Which I guess was probably what, 90s, noughties. I'm not sure when that came out, but Kylie Minogue is someone who, in Australia and the UK, is known incredibly well because of her role in a television soap opera called Neighbours. So Neighbours has been running for forever. I used to watch it as a teenager. I used to sit there and watch Neighbours every single night of the week. And some of the well-known actors that were in it, Guy Pearce, who of course has gone on to do bigger and better things. Russell Crowe was in an episode, or a few. Yeah, and Kylie Minogue was in it. She played the part of Charlene. And yeah, she left and then decided to take on a music career. And of course, that went very well for her in Australia and in the UK. But it didn't really take off for her worldwide until she did that I Just Can't Get You Out of My Head. And that, for a lot of people, will be regarded as a one-hit wonder because it's probably the only song of theirs they've ever heard. But yeah, she, as I say, she is still making music today. Not necessarily good music, but that's all. It's all opinion, though, isn't it? Oh, so. Kylie's very first songs that she did with Stock Aitken and Waterman, things like Locomotion and stuff. Yeah, they are pretty bad. But, you know, they launched her music career for her, so good on her. And, of course, there are plenty of people prepared to buy it in the UK and Australia. Okay, so we're going to whip another cap off here. Excuse me while I whip this out. That one, I'm getting better. I'm definitely getting better. Well, I mean, I'd hate to think I was getting fucking worse, eh? So I can definitely see the appeal in using this. Now, where I can tell you for certain just from using this, where solder tweezers are not going to do a particularly good job for you and where you're going to probably have to pull out a hot air station is if the solder is old and oxidized. It gets very, very crunchy, and it's often very difficult to get the solder, kind of get the heat in one place, and then get it melting along, melting on the whole way along the pad. And so in that regard, I would say for those sort of instances, you'd be better off going with a hot air station. But for this, where I've got these capacitors living in a little world of plastic there from the CPU socket, plastic there from this little pin. These are the ones that used to have the little 4.5 volt battery on them. Those ray gun? I can't remember. 100% for the hot pants. Yeah, everyone remembers the hot pants. What is that brown card slot? This one here? We need Steve from Mac 84 to answer that, because they called it a far out. Was it an identity card or something stupid, some dumb name? I can't remember. Was it just a communication slot? Someone will know. Don't mention Raygun. Oh, mate, I've got a lot to talk about with Raygun. Anytime you want to talk about Raygun, I'm happy to talk about Raygun. She is a result of what happens when you decide to make breakdancing an Olympic sport and get an organisation who does ballroom dancing to arrange it, and then doesn't actually consult any of the existing breakdancing organisations around the world. So they essentially just create their own breakdancing competition all by themselves, and they're all judged by people who judge ballroom dancing. And that's why you end up with people like Raygun winning in the whatever competition she won to get into the Olympics. And of course, the people in the breakdancing community in this country were fucking furious, I do not mind telling you. Because they were never invited, notified, nothing. They were never part of those competitions. Oof. Don't mind telling you. Okay, this one's being a bit of a dick. I'm having trouble getting in here because there's very little space here. And these are little curved conical tips. So you kind of need to get them down at an angle, but I'm having trouble getting them at that angle because I've got this stupid thing in the way. But we can do it. We can do it. I'm just going to pump the temperature up a bit, see how high we can go. 480C. Let's try that. This is being powered by a USB-C power supply. Yep, it's coming. I saw it wiggle. Wiggle it. Just a little bit. This is powered by a 65 watt USB-C power supply. I think this is the hardest one to get off, so if I can get that off without breaking anything, I consider myself pretty happy. But I did not enjoy removing that one at all. I couldn't be bothered cooking tonight, so I got myself a frozen pizza. So after this live stream, I'm going to be heating up a frozen pizza. I'm really looking forward to it because it's one of the better ones out there. But it's kind of unlike me because I do love to cook. Snow. Who's got snow? Thomas, you've got snow. Personality card. There you go. I said identity, didn't I? I was on the right sort of track, wasn't I? I have had caps exploding with hot air. Can I tell you an interesting thing about that? When you do have a cap exploding with hot air, it means it's still sealed. When they're really badly leaky, they don't pop because they're not sealed anymore. So if they're popping, they're probably still all right. That's not a reason to not remove them. They're very old. Of course, remove them. But it's just interesting to note that the ones that pop are the ones that are all still sealed. Yep. We're getting there. I haven't even bothered to take the RAM and the VRAM off. How about that? That is the weirdest RAM sim. Look at it. Look at it. I wonder if we just plonk some caps and some extra RAM on here, RAM chips on here, whether we could increase it. Probably. Frozen pizza with a few beers. There you go. There's one particular frozen pizza manufacturer out here that does a pretty good job. I'm just thinking I should probably add some flux to these because I've got all this flux, and flux is awesome. I'm using Stereo ASM. Now this is a flux that I really want to do some proper testing with. This one here, Stereo ASM UHF-TF. They were saying this is like a slightly better formulation of their ASM. And I love their ASM. I think from memory, it's not as, they've removed some of the nasty chemicals from it. Because that's one of the things with the ASM. The ASM is always one of my favourite fluxes. It behaves really well. But you've got to have fume extraction for it. You absolutely must have fume extraction for it. And I believe it's this one. I'll need to double check all my facts and stuff, but I believe that this one is one that they've taken some of the nasty chemicals out, and so therefore it's a little bit safer to use if you do have, if you use it without fume extraction for a little while. Okay, so oh, look at the smoke come off. Yep, flux definitely helped. I'm going to take these VRAM sims off. So these are 256s. Anyone, if you're ever identifying these VRAM sims, there are two types. There's the 256K and the 512K. Did I say 256? They're 512s. there's the 256 and the 512. The 256 has 2 big chips on it. The 512 has 4 little chips on it. So let that be a lesson to you. I've got the same issue with this one. I can't get down to a comfortable angle with this one. But I haven't got my fume extractor on. I'm just getting smoke right up me schnoz here. Come on, you bastard. There we go. Oh, almost. There we go. So, all caps removed. And we did that all without any hot air. So, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with the little tweezers. Considering what they are, you know, how small they are. What I absolutely despise about these is the interface. 2 buttons. I've said this before. It's the same with these bloody, where are these things? Anyone ever used one of these before? One of these TS100s or whatever they are? TS100? Something like that. These soldering irons. What sucks about these is they've only got 2 buttons. Now, I'm going to say, if we think about human beings using controls, whether you think about some of the very earliest digital watches or programming a VCR or whatever, it is a very, very common thing to have left and right and select, or up and down and select. So you have direction buttons, plus and minus. Select, 3 buttons. It's really simple. 3 buttons and you are set for any sort of, you know, device control. Move up and down, you know, press the select button. Press and hold down the select button to move back, you know, whatever. But these have 2 buttons. They have only 2 buttons, just 2. And I hate it because it's like, oh, okay, we're going to switch it on. We'll press and hold down this button. Want to switch it off? We'll press and hold down another button. Want to select something? Oh, bear with me just a second. We have emergency stuff going on here, so I'm gonna deal with this right now because that's the sort of husband I am. Mud. Oops. Yeah, nearly done. And talk amongst yourselves. So good. Oops. Okay, done it. Okay, let's go check it here. Oh, what? It's 1.1 degrees C here, and they're forecasting thunderstorms the next couple of that. That is crazy. -3? Swedish winter temperature. Oi. What is a Smirnoff screwdriver? Is that like is it a cocktail type thing? Screwdriver. That's like vodka and... Is it vodka and orange? I can't remember. I can't remember what a screwdriver is. Hand in my Australian citizenship because I hate beer. Well, I don't hate beer. I mean, I drink beer, but I only drink beer... I drink relatively small amounts of beer, so it's very, very common for me to go into a pub and have a beer. And I will then usually move to something else afterwards. So when I rock up at a pub with friends or with the missus or something like that, generally when I arrive, I'll have a beer. Then I'll go and grab a beer. If you're ever wondering which beer I like a Cooper's Pale Ale. So there you go. Cooper's is a company, a beer company here. They're based in, I think, South Australia. And yeah, so that's one of my favourite beers. But I'll also drink a 150 Lashes. I'll drink a... Actually, there's some great beers out there. There's great pale ales out there at the moment. And then I'll usually move to something else, most probably wine. But I used to be a big beer drinker for once upon a time. I was a huge beer drinker. Isn't the big issue tip voltage? Could be. My job as a kid was to program the VCR. Me too. I was the kid that used to figure out the controls for just about everything. I've been with my missus. We got married in... I mean, we were together before we got married, obviously, but we got married in, I think it was 2011. So what is that? That's 14 years this year, something like that. Oh, how good a goonbag wine can be. Oh, Paul, Australia makes awesome wine in goonbags. There was a time when, you would buy a goonbag and it would just be like dry white or something like that. But you can actually get proper varietals in goonbags now, and they're remarkably drinkable, both red and white. No doubt about that. I drink from a bottle because I prefer it, but it's a 1 litre bottle. So. What is that, a quart? Is it litre equivalent of a quart or something like that? I'm not sure. Right, so should we finish this recapping? I don't know. What do people want to watch? They want to finish me recap this? May as well. Okay. I'll just move that. I've got to change my glasses though. I can't do my recapping with these glasses. Here we go. Right. I was going to have a look at another computer, but I just sort of, I don't know. I've got the caps off this thing now, and I sort of feel like I should put the caps on. It's nude. It's now. I can't have a nude computer. Well, it's the one fine day to be nude. It's the one fine day to be nude. Hills hoist and a goon bag. Yep, that's definitely Australian. Just in case anyone's not sure what a goon bag is, it is wine in a plastic bladder that you then get in a box. So you get wine, you buy wine in a box, and inside like a cardboard box, and inside the cardboard box is like a plastic bladder with a little tap thingy at the front, a little push button thing that you open and pour wine. Cask wine, that's another word for it. And it's a goon bag because it's the plastic thing inside it. The bladder inside is a goon bag. And yeah, it's good for you. I don't trust me on that. It's not good for you at all. Okay, scope camera. Let's have a look. Oh, I mentioned in my last live stream I was going to get some pedals, some foot pedals to change my views. They got lost in transit. They were due to be delivered on Monday the 27th, which was a public holiday here. And I don't know if that just made the whole system break down because it was a public holiday. They supposedly arrived in the country and then they went from the airport to like Kemps Creek. Kemps Creek's only like 20 minutes drive from where I am. And then they were like moved to somewhere else, and then it was like deliveries delayed. And then Amazon just basically said, oh, if you don't get this by a particular date, we'll refund you. And I didn't get it. So I just got a refund. I have to get them again. So, Red wine is supposedly good for your heart. Yes, yes. There are benefits in red wine that are associated with I believe, the antioxidants in them, the tannins and stuff like that. But having said that, there's another school of thought that basically says no amount of alcohol is a safe amount. So it depends who you talk to, really. Now I'm going to work out how I'm going to do this, do some fancy recapping with my wine and not knock it over and spill it, because that would just be terrible. Can't be spilling wine. Okay. Just go. That was Dana saying Finercy. Ah, goodness me. Ah, dear. Don from Nova Spirit Tech. I don't know who that is. Sorry. Now that you've gotten a refund, it'll probably show up in a few days. That'd be nice. I wouldn't complain. I know Nova Spirit Tech. I've heard of Nova Spirit Tech. I don't know where I've heard it from. Louder. We need it louder. Okay. I think my speaker's up as loud as possible. I don't know if there's a way I can... Maybe I can add it as an audio source, but that might blow everyone's brains out. It might be too freaking loud. Let me go. Add. I'm going to do it. I'm going to add it. Media source. Add it as a media source. I'll call this one FNIRSI. This could be really loud. Okay. Gotta move this here. Press the keep button because we've got to keep it. Properties, browse to the desktop. This is what you have to do in this OBS thing. Is that it? Oh, it doesn't like the format. Balls. OBS doesn't like the file format. I'd have to convert it. Oh, well, we'll have it for next time, eh? Yeah. I could put the speakers behind the screen, though. That's easier said than done. This is getting very complicated. My wine-addled brain is suffering a little trying to figure this out. I mean, I have consumed quite a little bit at this stage. Okay, there's that. It's full crank. I'd have to move closer. I would have to move closer. I might be able to do that. Let's try. I don't know if that got through. That's about the best I can do, I'm afraid. Alright. I need to bring up a recapping guide because there's no fucking way I'll remember how to recap this off the top of my head. This is like, this isn't just like all 4716s. Oh, what the fuck is that? Let's try this again. So there's a website called Recap a Mac, in case you haven't heard of it. And I put a whole bunch of photos and recapping guides on it, and some of them are a bit stupid, but, you know, still helpful. I'm just going to go ahead and say that it is the most viewed recapping website in the world for Macs. Oh, man, I need to update this recapping guide. This one looks like shit. I mean, I can't substantiate that claim, but I figure it probably is. What do you reckon? Obstruction-based software. Look, I have to tell you with OBS, I've got a love-hate relationship with it. So, for a while there, I ended up changing over to software called Ecamm. Ecamm is good. Does some really good things. It did pretty much everything that I wanted. There are a couple of issues. It didn't have any gain option for audio inputs. And that really sucked, because this microphone that I'm working with now, it's digital, so the signal isn't all fluffy, but it comes in quite quiet. So you need some sort of gain to then lift up the audio if you want to broadcast it. If you're recording it, it's fine. You take that recording, you put it into stuff, you process it, you mix it all up, and then you're away. But when you're dealing with live broadcasting, you know, you've got to have all the stuff there. And this Ecamm software didn't have any gain option for audio, so I bought hardware, I bought a little mixing desk thing so I could crank up the audio, you know, sort of signal going into the computer. It was an absolute pain in the ass, because it was just so much shit coming in off the USB ports. But anyhow, I then I got tired of getting charged every month, basically. Ecamm was fairly good, but they did put the price up at one stage while I was using it. Can't remember how much, but it was enough to make me go, fuck. And then, of course, they're hitting you with it every month. And you really got to question, you really got to say, okay, am I getting that much extra out of it? The one thing that Ecamm does easily was it allowed me to click on a comment and just make it appear on the screen. So if I look here and I go, Dana has just said JB sleeping, I could just click that and then it would come up on the screen, JB sleeping. And OBS doesn't do that easily. There are some tools that will help you do that, and I'm going to start investigating that. But excuse me, I woke up quite early this morning. So yeah, I just ended up cancelling my Ecamm subscription. I tell you, StreamYard are going to find themselves in a bit of strife. They're apparently putting their price up in a big way, and I think they're going to find a massive bailout going on there. Yeah. So anyhow, I went back to OBS. There was one... Oh, that's right. I couldn't run the latest version of OBS because I was using an old Mac Pro down here. I was using an old 3.1 Mac Pro as my live streaming thing, and I couldn't get the latest operating system running on. This is all pre-Open Core Legacy Patcher. I, at one stage, tried using Colin Mister's thing, and I had all sorts of problems with that. And then I ended up getting a slightly newer Mac, and I was able to run a newer version of OBS on it, and then I was like, oh, fuck it, I can do everything I need with that. So then I ditched Ecamm. And then now, of course, I'm running an M1 Mac, and it does this without breaking a sweat. CPU activity is like fuck all. But the main issue I have is that when you're doing this sort of stuff, you've got a squazillion things coming in off the USB. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 USB cameras and the microphone all coming in off the USB. And it's the Macs do seem to suffer when they've got that much stuff all coming in off the USB at the one time. Wake up at 4 a.m. Why, Paul? Why? Did your USB hub need a USB hub? Probably. I've got 2 USB hubs on this computer. One's like a 7-port and one's like a 3-port. So, work. Yeah, that sucks. Sucks. Paul, Paul, are you in Queensland? Paul, I think, but I can't remember. I do get mixed up very easily because I'm old. Oh, is that something to do with the computer? Yeah, okay, so you're not in daylight savings time, so that means it's what, 6 p.m. there? Is that right? That's right. You're from Bundaberg, yeah, where we get the rum. I think the USB controllers and the Apple Silicon Macs are pretty shitty, to be honest. Yeah, I would agree with that. I've had a fair bit of grief with them. I can generally get them working, but it's almost a little bit like balancing SCSI. I've got the recapping guide. I can start doing this shit. What am I doing? Come on. Get your shit together, you drunk idiot. SMT tantalums. That's what we want. We want tants. Let's get some tants, folks. Actually, I've got to clean all the pads first. I don't know what I'm grabbing caps for. So, let's get some Fluxaroonie and let's get some of these pads cleaned up. I can see myself not being able to do this for too much longer because I feel like getting a little tipsy. I love doing this stuff. I love soldering. Love repairing. Just love it. So just a reminder to everyone, when I finish these live streams, I generally, so that there's no evidence, I generally make them unlisted. So if you do want, if you can think to yourself, oh gosh, I really think that one that live stream that Bruce did last night deserves a second watch, because gosh, it was interesting and informative. You'll need to bookmark the link, because the link will disappear once I finish live streaming. It will no longer be public, sorry. Tants for your pants. I like the sound of that. Any thoughts on a 10th gen Intel based Hackintosh? I can tell you with all honesty, no. And I don't mean that in a dismissive way. I just mean I seriously have no thoughts on that. I feel like oops, it helps if you, oh wow, why'd the screen go black? There we go. I feel like the Apple Silicon has kind of proven itself, but I totally accept that you can probably build a Hackintosh for way cheaper. Got to remember, of course, there's going to be a point where Apple stops releasing operating systems that work on both. I don't know. What do people reckon? Do you reckon the next one will be Apple Silicon only? I mean, Sequaqua, or whatever it's called, or Sonoma, they're all both. But yeah, I mean, I'll just be interested to see when Apple finish it, do their thing, say no more. You need Apple Silicon, no more Intel. Be like the old 10.5. 10.6 was... no. Yeah, it was 10.5. 10.6 didn't do PowerPoint PC, did it? On a budget, are digital microscopes any good? The answer to that is ultimately yes. The first microscope I used was a digital microscope, and it is better than no microscope. That is absolutely 100% sure. What you get from an analog microscope like this is not necessarily the fact that it's sort of optical analog-y type thing. It's the fact that it's binocular. So you get depth perception when you're looking through it. So when you're looking through it, I can actually make out distance. And that makes a huge difference. It's like if you're trying to drive with one eye closed, you are going to be far more effective at judging distances with both eyes open. But having said that, I got this when I could afford it, and I couldn't afford it when I started off. I started off with a very, very cheap microscope. I ended up actually just using like an endoscope type thing, a really cheap one that I bought. Then I ended up mounting it on a thing so I could look down with it and whatnot. And yeah, digital microscopes will definitely allow you to do the job. It's a little bit harder, it's a little bit trickier, but having said that, the very first time I used this, I was like, oh, this is weird as. I'm struggling with this. But you get used to it. So, but yeah, I have stereoscopic blindness, so perhaps it's not an issue. Wow, I knew that someone that talks in the chat had stereoscopic blindness, but I couldn't remember who it was, so it was you. Yeah, so you're probably fine with a digital microscope, for sure. What I would say is that when you're buying them, there are ones you can buy that are just the microscope and then you plug them into a computer to get the vision, and some of them actually have a screen mounted on them. Some of them are small screen, some of them a big screen. The big screens definitely help. But the other thing is, of course, keeping in mind a lot of them are on a bracket, and if you're working on a larger board, you need the kind of distance behind like if the thing is on an arm, right, and it's there, like there's your microscope, it's on an arm, and you go to put a board in here and you can't get any further, that can make it a little bit difficult. So if you can find one that has an arm that is maybe has a bit of room, hangs over sort of thing. I don't know if I'm explaining myself very well. Oh, good night, Dana. Thank you for joining. Good night. Good night. Sleep well. Good night. Screw rolled under the bed. I have a fun time getting out there. Oh, God, I hate that. Don't you hate that? I have that with this all the time. In here, this desk, it keeps going forward. So it has adjustments on the feet that allow me to change the height. And the logical thing with this is to have it slightly up a bit. So if anything's going to roll, it's going to roll backwards. Gives me a chance to catch it. And more importantly, it's not going to go anywhere because I've got so much shit on this table. But for some reason, it just keeps leaning forward. It's like, I don't know, because of the weight or something like that. And I keep adjusting it and it just keeps... And so I put something on this desk and it rolls off the front. When it rolls off the front, it invariably ends up way back there somewhere. Can't find it. Hurt myself. Oh, shit. Fucking hell. Sorry, that was my oven finishing drying. Scared the shit out of me. Okay. Whenever I'm cleaning these pads, I get a little bit of fresh solder and some flux. And I get some solder wick and just clean them pads up. These ones are squeaky clean. They're really good. I only have 3 hobbies: metalworking, woodworking, and electronics. My biggest problem is I only have one wage. Yep, I hear you. I got way more hobbies than 3, I can tell you. Way more than 3. I just need to find some way that I can get paid just for doing all my hobbies. I don't know. I don't know who's going to do that. But if there's anyone out there that just wants to pay me to do my hobbies, I'm all ears. Send me a proposal. Put some folded paper under the front feet of your... Yeah, that's going to be next. So I wouldn't use folded paper because I'm a 3D printer nut. I would 3D print some fancy little thing to stick under there. I struggle with the microscope that you are using. I can't focus properly. It's interesting you say that because I am also, though I haven't done this in a while, but here's another one of my hobbies, is astrophotography. And I have had situations where I've done viewings with friends. So we might be somewhere. I'll set up the telescope. I've got a pretty fancy telescope. I'll set up the telescope, get it all aligned, and then put it at something fun to look at, whatever it might be. Saturn, Jupiter, the crater on the moon, whatever. And set it up and then get all your friends to come and have a look in. They all get a chance to look in. And there are some that they just can't get it to work for them. They just can't get their eye in the right position, the focus right, and it's like, no, I can't say that. I can't say that. And it's like, I don't understand why that happens, but there are some people that just have an issue looking down the barrel of something like that. And yeah, so I've seen it, and I can't explain it. Let's blame Trump. Get a decent scope as well. I've had the same thing with friends. I love old computers, old vehicles, and PCB design. You know, I did a video reasonably recently that's gone very well for me. The viewer numbers are quite good, and that is of this little thing that broadcasts an old analog television signal. Some of you may have seen it. And during the making of that, I bought quite a few television sets, just as part of the whole thing. And that's fine. I mean, it's part of when you're doing YouTube videos, you end up buying junk that you don't necessarily need as part of doing the video. That's just kind of part of the whole job. But I found myself getting quite passionate about the old TVs, in particular the little portable ones. I was finding I was really enjoying a lot of the aesthetic in it. You know, it's not like I'm sitting there going, oh wow, I'm watching a television show on a tiny little screen and I'm getting such an awesome viewing experience. I mean, you know, I can sit there and watch something on my phone and watch it in bloody high def, but I just love the aesthetic of a lot of the designs of some of those old things. I bought myself this amazing television set that looks like it's from the Jetsons, and I love it. I have very fancy telescopes, like HA solar telescopes. The one I use is my C-Star digital telescope. So what I have is I think I've probably shown this before, but I can just bring this up on screen quite easily and just show what I have. It's old, okay? This is not a new thing. Oh, what's that? It's my keyboard. Okay, so there we go. Okay, give me a second here. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm just going to change over here to screen. Share screen. There we go. So I'm sorry about how small this is. This is a very old website. But this is what I have. So I have a Meade LXD 55 8-inch Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope. And this is so old. This is an old Canon EOS 300D. Remember the old 300D Rebel? That was what I used to use back then, but this is a very long time ago. So it's quite old, but at the same time, when you talk about the optics are still kick-ass. So that's what I used. Yeah, the old 50D Rebel. So 300D was the first one. That was the first one. That was the one. That was the game changer. If from a historical perspective, I remember at the time, the 300D was a game changer to digital cameras. It was the first time that I really felt like you could ditch a film camera, that we could go pure digital. I mean, I think I use a 70D now, or is it a 40D? think it's a 40D. I'm not sure. It's very nice, but I don't use it that much anymore. I mean, I generally just use my phone a lot of the time, which is a shame because I can get way better photos from the 40D. I think it's the 40D. I can't remember. I've got the telephoto lens, so if I really need to go in and if I need to get something that's a long way away, I'll get out the Canon and have my zooms. Darth Nikon. I have a 5D Mark III. Well, you fancy, Mr. Fancy Pants. I'd love to have a 5D, but yeah, that's a little bit out of my budget. And of course, the other thing is you got to get a lot more glass. I mean, a lot of the lenses I have, I'm not sure if they are good with a 5D. I've got a few prime lenses. I've got a 50 and I think a 28. You get great shots with those. With those prime focus lenses, because there's not as much glass. If you're using a telephoto lens, they're very, very practical, but you're going through lots and lots and lots of pieces of glass. Whereas when you go with a prime focus lens, I mean, like the aperture I have on my 50mm lens, it's just massive. It lets so much light in. You can get these beautiful photos of narrow depth of field with the aperture wide open. Really great stuff. Real proper photography type stuff. Watching Bruce mouse in an area barely larger than the mouse is a little disconcerting. Yeah, that's kind of how I do things because my desk's always so freaking messy. I remember this is a long time ago. This is a very long time ago. This would be the early 90s, I would say. I'm going to say 91, 92, 93, probably around about that time. But I was enlisted by a company to do some training on software. So this was a company that was a publishing company, and they had a lot of people using traditional methods, and they were wanting to move them across onto Quark Express, specifically Quark Express, for desktop publishing. And this is a funny thing, was I wasn't dealing with people who were computer users needing to learn some software. I was dealing with people that had never used a computer before. And so it wasn't really what I signed up for, but I had to essentially get these people to learn how to use a computer and then teach them software. And so I had a few techniques that I used to do to try and teach people how to use a mouse. And one of the things I used to always do to them was I was always encouraging them to hold a mouse like this. I don't know if you could see it. Hold the mouse with your thumb and your, what is the second last finger, and have these two fingers available. At the time, I was probably just getting them to hold it like that because this predated two-button misses. But what I was always trying to get across, because a lot of people didn't do this, they would hold the mouse with the base of their hand or something like that, but I was always trying to get into their head. Wherever you end up with the mouse, at any time you want to be able to lift it up and move it, and so I was always trying to encourage them to make sure that you are moving it in a way where you could also pick it up if you had to. I was probably teaching them bad habits, but who knows. Teaching them the Bruce way. That's the only way. Is it the ring finger? Yeah, it's a ring finger. Yep, that's right. Oh, wow. God, my knee's getting sore. Welcome to tonight's slowest recapping on record. So in terms of the glass that I have for my camera, I've got a 28mm prime focus, I've got a 50mm prime focus, and I've got a... It's a bigger one. Is it 100mm? I think it's 100mm. And that one has a macro on it as well. You can flick a switch and it'll do macro. And then I've got a zoom, which is like 75 to 300, I think. And then I've got another zoom, which is like, I don't know, 20 to 100 or something like that. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lenses. And on the whole, that does me pretty well. And then I've also got some macro tubes. So they're just little spaces that you put on to give varying levels of macro using a normal lens. And then I've got a few filters. I used to use filters when I was photographing cars for a car club. I was in a car club, and so I'd have these filters for that. It was nice. It's nice. I will never get rid of an SLR camera. I will always want to have an SLR camera with a good, zoom lens and all that sort of stuff. I sort of feel like the phone, certainly my phone's got wide angle or even wider angle. It doesn't have any real zoom. If my wife are out walking and we see some cool birds or something like that, some nice bird life, she has to take the photo and send it to me because she's got one of the Pro phones that has a zoom lens on it. Pro phone. So incidentally, if anyone's wondering, if anyone's joined and they're like, what the hell is this guy doing? I'm working on an LC575 at the moment. So this is one that was sent to me to recap. It's been sitting here for way too long. I am recapping it at the moment. Taking off the old electrolytics, replacing them with tantalums. And I have done that. I've removed I've done 2/3 of it. I've removed the electrolytics. I have cleaned the pads and I'm ready to drop some new tantalums on it. So, hello Computer Booter, welcome. This is actually, this is a Color Classic Mystic board technically, depending on what chassis you put it in. Obviously if you put it into a 575 that was originally intended for, it's not a Mystic, but if you stick it into a Mystic modded Color Classic, then yes indeed. It is a 33 megahertz 68040 CPU. You can do some good shit with that. Sure can. Mm-hmm. 24 to 105. Yeah, you can do a lot with that. 100mm, that's 4 inches. All right. Okay, what was that? That's some Jupiter. No. Bokeh. Love the old bokeh. I would prefer the original 575 case and a larger screen for my phoning eyes. I can't argue with you there. The Mystic modded Color Classic with the 640 by 480 display and the 040 CPU is fun and gimmicky, but the Color Classic was always a bit of a gimmick. It did find a market, a very small market, but it did find a market of people that had very small desk space who were looking for colour. But I totally accept that the Mystic is just gimmick. It is totally gimmick. Yeah. If I want a small 68040 Mac to use, I'll just grab a PowerBook 540. What is it? 540C? That to me is one of my favourite 040 laptops with 640 by 480 screen. Play games on that. Love that laptop. I recommend to anyone if they're getting a bit of a collection of vintage Macs, See if you can get a PowerBook 540. See. I worked on Hamilton Island. A photographer who worked there got in trouble because he didn't want to take photos in the rain. Goodness me. Alright, we're going to stick some new replacement caps on this. So I'm going to start off with the 100 microfarad 6.3 volts. If we're lucky, I might actually get this finished today. There is a certain point where I will probably need to end the live stream. One of two things will happen. I'll either get hungry, and if I get hungry, I will then need to go and eat, or I'll get too drunk to continue. Anything is possible. Just if anyone is new to the whole concept of the workshop and wine, not all of my live streams are like this. I do live streams where I am actually completely and totally sober. But in the workshop and wine, I take that very, very literally. It is, I am in the workshop and I am drinking wine. And my glass is starting to get a little bit low here. And I do love a wine. I do love being in my workshop. Make these two things work together. Dark Winter, hello there. Colour Classic, right at home in a tiny Japanese apartment. Very interesting you say that. Japan is the only place that got the Colour Classic 2. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But it's my understanding that maybe it was in the US as well, but certainly one of the highest selling places of the Colour Classic 2. They never even sold out here. There are a few of them around. People have imported them. But there was the Colour Classic and then there was the Colour Classic 2. And the Colour Classic 2 was a slightly faster CPU. I think it went from 25 to 33 megahertz. But yeah, they were sellers in Japan because space issues. People in very small apartments get a little teeny weeny Mac on a little teeny weeny desk in a little teeny weeny apartment. Great, all good. This is the point where I use TWEEZERS so I don't burn my fingers. Just going to check. Yep, all good. This is a little bit risky here because you can see there's all this. It's very easy to create a short here, basically. If any of these, if you look at this area around here, if any of this solder mask was compromised and I put this capacitor on there with its wide pad underneath it. Whoops. Can I do it? Yeah. See its wide pad here? If that was then touching any of this, if it was compromised, we could end up creating ourselves a nice little short. But it looks okay, so I'm feeling confident about just soldering this down. But that is one of the most common problems when it comes to people doing recapping. Is accidentally creating a short because they're putting a tantalum capacitor in the place of an electrolytic. And it's just one of the things you have to be wary of. Lathes and milling machines. I am not going to try and what's the word? I totally accept there is risk with what I'm doing at the moment. I'm using a soldering iron, which is really freaking hot. And I use hot air station as well, which is also really freaking hot. And there are risks associated with this. And I don't say to anyone, do what I'm doing. Don't sort of drink and do this stuff. It's not a good idea. But I'm a bit of a nut. So stay still. There you go. High functioning alcoholic. That's what we call ourselves. Have you seen the new Mac museum that's opened up in Melbourne? I haven't seen it. I have seen the thumbnail of the video. How about that? That's about the best I could do. I haven't watched it yet, though. Oh yeah, cutting fluid in the wine glass. Would not like that. I have recapped a Color Classic 2, I think maybe 2 of them, when I was hardcore into the recapping side of things. And of course, the Macintosh TV is very close to it as well. Oh, 520. LC 520? That board's pretty much identical to the Color Classic 2. I'm pretty sure the LC 520. So you virtually can't tell those apart. The recapping guys are identical. Carthor, I don't really like doing electronics while I'm drunk. I even destroyed an equipment just turning it on while drunk because I forgot I had thrown all the screws into the case. Yeah, I mean, the truth of the matter is that I very rarely get what I would consider to be drunk. I do drink, and I do get tipsy, and I do get to a point where I would never get behind the wheel of the vehicle. But I don't necessarily consider myself getting to a point where I would say I am drunk. I can usually still carry on a conversation. I could still usually do a lot of things. I can still cook using, frying with hot oil and stuff like that, and electronics. But, I know my limits. Let me put it to you that way. I mean, if I felt like I was endangering my life or anything like that, I would definitely stop. Okay, Joseph Phillips, hello there. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you for jumping in and saying hello. Can I please get your thoughts on something? My MacBook screen cracked badly. If I buy a replacement screen from AliExpress, are they comparable, worse, or hideous? Can you tell me what sort of MacBook you've got there? Because I can tell you I have bought lots of replacement screens, so I can only give you advice on the ones that I have bought. Started to solder when I was 8. That probably wasn't the best of ideas now that I look at it 34 years later. 550, thank you BC Jeffro. It was the LC 550 that I was talking about. I started soldering probably at a similar age. I had always assumed it was probably around about 10. It probably was around about 10. It might have been a bit younger. Old-fashioned soldering irons and the old flux, corrosive flux, really corrosive flux. I didn't even know that things like rosin flux existed. But I used to use Baker's solder flux or something. And I love doing it. Absolutely love doing it. I didn't really refine it. I didn't really refine it until probably 10 or so years ago. I'd always done a bit of soldering here and there, and I had got reasonably good at it. And I would do my own sort of repairs and all that sort of stuff. But I didn't really sort of feel that these days I kind of, when I'm working with solder, I kind of know what's going to happen. I really feel like I've got a control of what's happening. If something happens unexpectedly, it's like, why? I sort of feel like it's all very predictable. But that didn't really happen until probably 10 years ago that I really started getting into soldering in a big way. But what I do remember vividly as a child is the need to have a workstation and to not necessarily solder on the floor, because if you happen to leave that soldering iron on the floor while it's on and then step on it, it's not good. You may end up doing yourself a mischief. In particular, if that soldering iron, when you step on it, actually gets tucked up in between your toes. So if you imagine this is your foot and these are your toes, that it just gets stuck up underneath there and burns a line right across underneath your toes. Yeah, I remember that night. I didn't sleep a lot that night. But anyhow, I've never done it again. Okay, let's go back and check here. MacBook Pro A1708. Okay. MacBook Pro. Okay, let me look. I'm just going to look up A1708 because I don't know which that is. When it comes to identifying Macs, I tend to work with the year and the screen size. But I'm going to look up A1708. A1708. Bum 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 bum. Do A1708. Core i5, late 2016. Okay, so we're talking butterfly screen, butterfly keyboard, retina screen. Okay, so what I can tell you is I have bought replacement screens from those. Now, I haven't bought them from AliExpress. I've usually bought them from eBay. But I imagine they're probably all coming from the same place, and I can tell you that they have been they're basically just the Apple ones. I think they're either reconditioned or they are, I don't know where they're coming from, but they are absolutely indistinguishable from the original Apple ones. So, TV antenna impaling your foot. I don't like the idea of anything impaling. Yeah, I think impaling is probably worse. Burned was just on the surface, even though it was very bad. It was just on the surface, whereas impaling, you're breaking through the skin there. At least my injuries were cauterized. I did step on it. Fumble the TS100 and grab it out of the air by the wrong end. Yes, I can understand that. All right, 47s. Goodness me, I need to order some more 47s. I'm nearly out of them. Go through these 47s. 47 microfarad, 16 volt. They're used on lots and lots and lots of Apple devices. Let's bring up my recapping guide once again because I cannot remember this stuff off the top of my brain. 10 of them I need, I say. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10. 10 of them. Hello, friends. Oh, how's my wine going? My glass is empty. I consider myself a glass half full kind of person, but when the glass is empty, there's no other way of looking at it than empty. Hot glue sticking in my finger. I can tell you, Carthor, I've had hot glue sticking in my finger as well, and it pales in comparison to stepping on soldering iron. One of the really interesting things that happens with a lot of the people that are selling those replacement screens, when they show photos of them, they never show the Apple logo on the outside. It's probably something that gets them in trouble. So they will usually have them. They'll show the monitor, the screen. They'll show it from one side. They'll often have the product name covered. And they'll show it from the other side, and they'll have the Apple logo covered, and it makes you freaked out. You think, what am I getting? What generic bullshit am I about to buy? When it arrives, there's the Apple logo. There it says MacBook Pro or MacBook Air, whatever it might be. It's there. It's all printed on the screen. It all looks 100% genuine, works beautifully, no issue at all. So, I think a lot of those sellers kind of have to cover themselves because otherwise they can get in trouble. Certainly in some countries, I don't know if they'd ever get stopped here in Australia, but in some countries where they can actually get blocked at customs because it's Apple products and stuff. But they'll often sell the stuff without the logos being visible. But when you get them, the logos are there. It's the real thing. I've done so many screen replacements for friends and family and stuff like that because I've got a lot of friends, work friends and family, and who have kids who have to have laptops that they take to work or to school, and kids break laptop screens. I mean, it's as simple as that. And they drop something on the top of it. You just drop it on the top, break the screen, or they have something inside. They close the lid, crack the screen. It's just so easy to do these days because the screens are so, the laptops are so flimsy or so thin. And I've done heaps and heaps of those screens. And a lot of the time, as I say, the very first time when I was buying it, I was freaking out. I'm going, what am I about to get here? But when it turns up, it is absolute, genuine. It looks perfect. No issues whatsoever. So, yeah. As I said, I have bought those on eBay, but I would be absolutely amazed if they weren't exactly the same things as they were selling on AliExpress. Oh, it's been so long my soldering iron has gone to sleep. Wake up, soldering iron. What's the name of the dude from the Wiggles? Wake up, Jeff. Is that it? Wake up, Jeff. What an amazing thing the Wiggles turned out to be. Watched a documentary on the Wiggles, and I have to say, I was really impressed by them. I mean, I don't have kids, so it's not like I have any reason to watch the Wiggles, but these guys didn't just fluke this stuff. I mean, they had degrees in sort of child learning or sort of something like that, and they really built the Wiggles around the psychology of kids. And just impressive stuff. They deserve all of the success they've had. Same with Bluey. Bluey's awesome. Did you know there is an episode of Peppa Pig that got banned in Australia? Have I ever told this story before? Yeah, everyone loves Bluey. Don't have Peppa Pig here in the USA. Fair enough. It's a UK show. It definitely gets played out here as well. I actually, Nick, Apple's Anonymous, I am pretty sure that the maybe a Bluey movie coming out is, you can take away the maybe. I think they are actually making a Bluey movie. I had an idea recently, get an old Chromebook that is one of the really common ones, scrap the motherboard in it and install a custom PCB to run Vidget software on it. Yeah, I mean, didn't Raspberry Pi just bring out a computer recently? I know nothing about it. I haven't tried it or anything like that, but Raspberry Pi has some great retro software, so I don't know what the price of it is, but if it's not too expensive, that'd be a good way of doing it. Pardon me. So anyhow, the Peppa Pig episode that got banned in Australia, it wasn't because Peppa Pig was saying anything offensive or anything like that. I mean, let's face it, it's Peppa Pig, for fuck's sake. But there was an episode where I think Peppa Pig encounters a spider, and in the episode they said, "Don't worry about the spider; it can't hurt you." And they had to basically ban that from airing out here because in this country, spiders can fucking hurt you. Spiders can fucking kill you. So you can't really go around telling youngsters, don't worry about the spider, he can't hurt you. Not in this country. Yeah, I mean, Dark Winter, you're quite right. I mean, Chromebooks do just run Linux. So, I mean, if you've, you could just, reinstall any distro of Linux and just run whatever you like, really. I mean, God, did anyone see Sean from Action Retro's latest video that he did on a little tiny laptop where he was using a little tiny version of Linux? His view numbers just went through the roof. Even he was surprised. He's like showing us the viewer numbers. We go, what the fuck, man? I'm going, you son of a bitch. I mean, congratulations. That's awesome. Sean is such a good guy. Oh, offensive. Offensive in Bluey. I can imagine they might have to change things that would not be understood. Because, I mean, we do have a lot of kind of local vernacular here where we say things that I could totally understand. Some people would be like, what on earth is this person saying? I could totally get that. There was a scene in Crocodile Dundee that got edited for the US audience because he called the female character, Linda Kozlowski or whatever her name is, and I don't remember her character's name in the film, but in the original movie, he called her a sticky beak. And sticky beak is apparently, I didn't notice, but sticky beak is apparently an Australian term, an entirely Australian term. So they edited the audio and changed it to busybody. And one of the problems I have with that is that a sticky beak is not a busybody. They're two different things. A sticky beak is someone who is always trying to find answers, you know, sticking their nose in things to try and find stuff out. A busybody is someone who wants to know everyone else's business, and they're not quite the same. You know, if you are, I don't know, you're walking past a construction site and you want to see how the building's coming along or something, and you look through a little hole in the sort of construction barriers. You're being a sticky beak. I don't consider yourself being a busybody. Busybody is someone that gets information and spreads it around to people. Sticky beak is just someone who's kind of inquisitive. So that was something I remember when I watched the US edit of Crocodile Dundee and it saw him say busybody instead of sticky beak. I remember thinking, it's not the same. I've had the pleasure of meeting Sean a few times. I've never met him in person, I've spoken to him many times, but I've never met him in person. But there are some geographical limitations. One of my local Australian friends, he actually went over to the US recently for one of the VCFs, and of course he was getting to meet all these people that I've been speaking to for ages, and I was like, "You lucky bastard." And I am someone of limited means. I am not a particularly wealthy person. I consider myself wealthy in many, many ways. I do own my own home, which is a big thing in Sydney, because it's so freaking expensive to buy a house here. And I do have a job, which makes me a reasonable amount of money. Self-employed though, so I don't consider myself like poor by any means. I mean, I can, like, you know, on the whole, if I'm like, oh, I need that, I can just get it. But at the same time, I don't consider myself someone with ridiculous amounts of disposable cash. I had a pet lorikeet named Sticky Beak. Do you Australians use the word bloke? Yeah, we definitely use the word bloke. So, if someone was sort of saying to me, do you know so-and-so? And I'd say, oh, yeah, he's a good bloke. He's a good bloke. Or I might, if someone is doing something at a party or something, look at this bloke. Bloke is an old man's term. What are you saying? What are you saying about me? I'm only fucking 50 and a bit. 50 something. Early 50s. Don't ask me to tell you because I can't remember. Mate is very popular in Aussie vernacular. Mate. If anyone ever wants to see an Australian film that they probably haven't seen, that I sort of feel like, actually, maybe I shouldn't make this recommendation. People might end up permanently traumatized, but it's not easy watching at all. I mean that most sincerely. It's pretty heavy. But I remember I was reading this thing the other day where someone was talking about, oh crap, what's his name? Eric Bana. And someone was talking about, oh, I hate Eric Bana, everything he's in is shit. And I thought to myself, you should watch Chopper. So anyhow, there's this Australian film called Chopper, and it's about this Australian criminal called Mark Chopper Reed, and Eric Bana is brilliant in that. He is absolutely brilliant. But it's not a fun movie, not by any stretch. It's well made and it's well acted, but it's pretty hard viewing. Just gonna say. There we go. Look at that. We're all done. Got all these new caps on here. Have a look at that. How good's that? Yes, that's very good. Yes, thank you. Mate. Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I enjoyed that movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I enjoyed it. My age is 71 for tax reasons and 19 for drinking reasons. 58 on Australia Day. Yeah, so I'm 50... I'm just going to say 52, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% certain about that. Sometimes it just gets away from me, but, you know. Well, I'll tell you, Nick, you're looking pretty good for 58. I'll just say that. I've seen you on the videos. I can't do the smoke test. I've got nothing to plug it into. My Colour Classic chassis is not behaving very well at the moment, so I need to do a little bit of work. A mere spring chicken, yes, indeed. I mean, look, all I would say to anyone from an aging perspective is, you know, I mean, look, I don't kind of fuss myself with age at all. It's very easy as an Australian man to say that. It's a very different situation for women, where every single piece of bloody media you see out there is all about youth. And I feel sorry for women in that situation, because it's just kind of the world, isn't it? I mean, everyone expects women to be young, and you just, all you have to do is have a look at ads and stuff. It's all about maintaining a youthful look and all that sort of crap, whereas guys can just say, oh, I'm just going to get old and fat and lose my hair and go grey, and, you know, who gives a shit? But that's my general attitude to my own aging. Yeah, I mean, I'm not someone who just sort of pines for being a younger person. I maybe wish I had a little bit more flexibility, but I probably could if I wasn't so fat and lazy. But anyhow, to anyone I would say, this is the advice that I provide to anyone. When you turn 40, or soon after turning 40, 41, 42, 43, depending on the person, things start going a bit pear-shaped. So just be prepared. Please, you know, just don't say I didn't tell you. Your eyesight's going to go a bit shit. And it's going to happen. Don't think you're excused. It's going to happen. You're going to lose a lot of your close-up vision. You're going to go a bit long-sighted. It's just going to happen. I ended up getting asthma in my 40s. Can you believe that? It's just like, out of the blue. Bang. Hey, you've got asthma. What the fuck? When did that happen? So, yeah, I didn't have it before. So, anyhow, there are some big physical changes that happen to your body around about 40 and around about 60. And I'm just letting you know, everyone needs to know that, because if they don't know, it comes as a bit of a shock. I didn't know. No one told me. It's like, you know, all these things just stopped working properly. And it's like, what? I went to the eye doctor. I said, can I do some exercises to sort that out? No. Fuck. My what still works pretty well is my brain and my hearing. I walk through, seriously, because I'm so grey. I got my first grey hair when I was 16, right? So I've been grey for a long time. I didn't go completely grey when I was 16, but I got my first grey hair when I was 16, and I have been going consistently grey since then. And so when I walk through a shopping centre, I mean, I am just always getting caught out by the people trying to sell stuff to old people, because I just look old. And it's the hearing places. They always have people standing out the front of them going, would you like to come in for a free audio check? Come in for a free hearing check. Would you like a free hearing check?
come in for a free hearing check. Would you like to come in? It's a free hearing. It's a free hearing check. It doesn't cost you anything. It costs you anything. Free hearing check. Would you like to do that?
And I'm like, it's the only part of me that still works properly where you piss off. Found out that hearing has diminished. I mean, look, mine's probably not as good as it was, but still pretty good. I'm going to switch this off. It's a bit loud. Nothing is free. Well, yeah, they will give you a free hearing check, but the hearing check will almost definitely come up and say you need hearing aids, and then that's where they get the money from. So, yeah, your free hearing check is going to be a part of an ongoing upsell. You can get hearing aids in this country. I don't know if it's 100% covered under Medicare or whether it's part of it is health insurance. But I know someone who has investigated and they were able to get some hearing aids without paying anything. But they weren't very good. They weren't the sort that connect to your phone and have rechargeable batteries. They were ones where you had to replace batteries in them. Some of the kids open doors for me now. Oh, Jesus, Tom, that would make me so pissed off. Oh, crap. I would not be happy with that. Because I dress like a bum. I wear T-shirts. I wear T-shirts and shorts. So people probably don't open doors for me for that reason, because I dress like a bit of a bum. Because I work from home. I don't have to get tarted up. Seriously, when I end up wearing like a shirt with a collar, and then a tie. I don't wear ties anymore. Seriously, I will pretty much only wear a tie at a funeral these days. Maybe at a wedding. I'll just fuck it. Why should I? But yeah, I find most of the time when I go places, like if I go to the grocery store, they're just checking to see if I haven't stolen something. So I look like a bit of a bum. Hearing aids, 3,000 each year. Fuck off. That's ridiculous. I have little grey hair. Well, lucky you, Nick. First cousin is 1 month older than me and started going grey in his early 20s. He's silver grey. Yeah. Yeah. Look, I've never had an issue with it. I've never had an issue with going grey. I've never had an issue with my receding hairline. I can actually still grow quite a thick head of hair, but I choose not to. I shave it all off. I shave it quite regularly. It started when one day I was just leaning forward like that, and someone took a photo, and you could just sort of see all the gaps in here. And it's never really got that much worse than that. It still recedes up here. So I've got that widow's peak hair receding line thing. But I can still grow really thick hair around the side here. But I choose not to. I don't like the look of that, so I just shave it. I just found a brand new Belkin ADC to DVI adapter, still sealed in original packaging. Any offers? I'll give you I don't know. What have I got? I'm looking around. What have I got? I've got a box of capacitors. How about that? I don't know. I've got a bunch of resistors. How about that? Hello to Max if you're still watching. He probably isn't, but if Max is still watching, hello to you. I am getting a PowerMax 7220 from him, which is what I consider to be one of Apple's ugliest computers. And for that reason, I want one in my collection. So I have done a bit of a contra deal with him, doing some recapping and swapping some recapping for the 7220. And 4400, I think they were called as well, 4400. And they are the only Mac with the floppy on the other side, I think. The floppy's on the left side rather than the right side, the floppy drive. And they are just one really ugly looking Mac. But I got to say, looking forward to owning one, looking forward to having one in my collection. I like the ugly ones. I like the stupid ones. I like the unsuccessful ones. Okay. Now I'm going to have a crack at this. And I'm going to... and seriously, please don't laugh, but I'm going to have a crack. Gerard Cuisineur? Cuisineur? Gerard Cuisineur. I'm having a go, but I'm probably not doing it right. But anyhow, hello. I'm 68. I can still read without glasses, but it's just starting to hit me now when the characters are very small. Strangely, my far vision has improved tremendously. See, I've heard of this happening, Gerard, where people have had like whatever the situation with their eyes were before, when they go through, when they get older and the eyes start to change, it actually improves things. I know someone that happened to. They were actually saying, I can actually see better now than I could before. So weird. Kai is working on 2SI replacement. Cusino? 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 I don't know. I'm just making a fool of myself, but, you know. I did learn a little bit of French when I was younger, but I'm not very good at it. But I'm sure Gerard is correct. Maybe. Hopefully. Ray, back when I did desktop support, the PM72, 7200, whatever models, were the worst. Horrible hardware. Yeah, they were, but that's why they become collectible. I'm really looking forward to owning one. And yeah, so the 2SI related board is happening. I speak to Kai semi-regularly, and he's had a fair bit of life stuff getting in the way. So, I mean, I don't want to, no one wants to pressure him into the stuff of the 2SI board, but there's a lot of work. It's definitely a lot of work. I mean, he did the work on the SC and the Classic, but it's a whole new ball game with the 2SI. It's a lot more work involved, but yeah. Well, I think I'm going to wrap things up fairly soon. I'm not in a mad screaming rush to get out of here. I'm probably going to top up my wine first, but I can't see myself doing any more work. I did recap a board. I mean, seriously, that's got to be worth something. This is the Drakes. There we go. That's oh god, look at that. I don't know if you can see just how full that is, but that I have just filled that up to the point that I cannot fit anything else in there. So 2 or 4. So the 2SI is a 4-layer board, I believe. I'm going to have to actually move my mouth to the wine because I don't think I can pick this glass up without losing some. And God forbid, I don't want to lose any wine. That would be a travesty. There we go. What a horrible sound that was. Kai uses a particular piece of software for doing his board designs. I've used it. It only works on a PC, unfortunately. There's no Mac version. I don't like it very much. I can see why he uses it. There are some aspects of it that are quite good. But I would definitely be looking for something that works on a Mac. There are some open source, board design things. I haven't designed anything. Not a thing. I have never done any logic board designs at all. So people assume I have, but I have never done any. That's not to say I don't want to. I would love to do that at some stage, but I've just never done any of that. It's not KiCad. I can't remember. I can't remember if it's KiCad or not. No, it's not KiCad. I can't remember. I mean, if someone says the name, then I'll probably remember it, but I can't remember. KiCad. Love it. Love it, Nick. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. I can definitely tell that your name is French, Gerard. Oh, come on, Jeremy. Don't pollute the chat with this PC stuff. Just trying to think of anything. I watched recently a mini-series called Lockerbie. Just mentioning that, because I often talk about things that I watch. I don't know if anyone else has watched the mini-series Lockerbie. It's on something, one of the streaming services. And it was good. I felt like it dragged a little bit at times. It was 5 episodes. They probably could have tightened it down to 4. But it was a good TV series on the whole. So, yeah. Looking for something new to watch. So if anyone has any recommendations for TV series, please let me know. My wife is not a big fan of sci-fi unless it is like a really good series. So we've watched sci-fi stuff together before, but it's got to be good quality stuff. But we definitely like crime drama, and we like character-based stuff. Definitely need good characters. I cannot stand like two-dimensional characters. They've got to be really good characters. Hello, XK Steve. Thank you for joining. I hate to tell you this, but I'm wrapping up now. This is my last glass. I think I've finished the bottle. I will check. Yep, that's finished. That bottle is finished. And once I get through to the bottom of that glass, I will definitely wrap things up. That's 1 litre of Australian wine that I've got through. Jerry. Okay, I'll call you Jerry. I won't call you Gerard. I'll call you Jerry. Everything has to be PC these days. Made on Netflix. Don't know that one. I mean, sort of my wife and I have this little kind of routine where, you know, because I cook. I do the cooking in the house, and that's not because she can't cook. It's just because I love cooking. And, you know, through the years of my cooking, I've like developed really good knife skills and stuff. So I mean, when I go to cook something, I can usually do all the prep work and stuff faster. So I generally do all the cooking. And not only that, I've also refined a lot of my cooking to suit my wife's tastes. So I know now how to cook stuff that she really likes. So I generally do all the cooking, and then we sort of sit down, have a meal, we clean up the dinner, we sit down, we watch something. You know, it's our kind of little nightly routine. And, you know, so what we're looking for something that we're both going to enjoy. And we can go down a path of things that I like, and we can go down a path of things that she likes. But there are things that we have common ground on, and we want to sit down and watch something together. And we might only watch 1 episode. We might watch 2, depending on how much time we have. But we're just always looking for good quality television, really good quality stuff, where you're kind of like watching, you know, you're sitting there thinking, this is made well. And sometimes we've watched things we can both agree it's made well, but we're just not enjoying it. It's, the mood's not there. It's just bringing us down. It's making us depressed. I love stuff that keeps you guessing. I love stuff with mystery. There was a TV series called... Crap. What's it called? Home? No. Lost? No, that was something else. It was basically about people that get stuck in this town they can never get out of. So they drive, people arrive. So what happens is everyone experiences the same thing. They're driving along a road. There's a tree blocking the road. So they then turn around and head back the other way. And then they find themselves in this town that they can never get out of. Have you had the opportunity to watch any old American TV, Jeremy? How old? I mean, I've watched MASH. That's pretty old. Mary Tyler Moore Show. I used to watch Happy Days. So, a TV series called Crap. What? Is your new tweezers on your website? Not yet. I haven't reviewed them yet. I haven't finished the review. I've nearly finished it. So I've gone through all of the controls. I'm going to use some of tonight's live stream to intercut into the review. And I need to do some little tests with heat. So I have like a big copper board to see how it copes with trying to solder on a copper board. Okay, so, made, okay. It's a series of a woman escaping a domestic violence situation with her young daughter. I'm not sure about, my wife might struggle with that. I'm not saying she's been in any domestic violence situations, but she's someone that is very, what's the word? She has a lot of empathy, and she really struggles with the suffering of others, so... Yeah, I'm not sure if I could watch that. I'd probably be okay with it, but she might struggle. Landman. Pate Bonza. Pate Bonza. Landman, yes, that comes recommended. Which one's that on? Is that on Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that? I know someone who watched that and said it was really good. So, yeah, I think I might go and do that. I need a glass of wine. Yes, Thomas, you do. I hate cooking unless it's for a special occasion. Okay, so I just want to put this out there. I would never be a chef. I'm not interested in cooking professionally, but I like cooking for friends and family and stuff. So, I mean, I really enjoy doing it. I usually drink while I'm doing it, but I really do enjoy cooking for friends and family and stuff. So, but yeah, I would never want to do it professionally. I probably could. I mean, I think I probably could learn it. I mean, I've got enough passion for it that I could probably learn all the skills. But, no. Sorry, I keep banging my microphone. I apologise for that. It's not Once Upon a Time. Jeremy, I love MASH. Me too. I've watched every episode of MASH so many times that generally when an episode of MASH starts, I can usually tell you which episode it is in about the first probably 3 seconds. Jumping the Shark from Happy Days. That's when they ran out of ideas for episodes. And that was when the Fonz jumped a shark on a, skis, water skis. Jumping the shark is the term. It's used in It's used in television shows in general. So it's talked about when they ran out of ideas for the show. And so I love the term jumping the shark because, as I say, that's a Happy Days term, and it refers to when they just flat ran out of ideas for the show, and so they had the Fonz on water skis jumping a shark. It's just the dumbest thing in the world. Oh dear. Bonanza. Never watched Bonanza. I mean, it was around when I was younger, but I never really watched. I probably watched bits of episodes. Highway to Heaven, no. Knight Rider, yes, definitely. I watched most, if not all, of Knight Rider at the age that I was. A-Team. Never got into the A-Team, but most of the people my age did. I don't know why I never got into the A-Team, but I didn't. I'm going to look up the name of this TV series I was talking about with the people stuck in the town, because it's just not fair for me to just tempt people. I think it's called From. It just popped into my head then. I think it's called From. Oops. I'm now looking up Frank Grillo. No. Search. From. Yeah, that's the one. So it's called From. It's on, I don't know, maybe Prime. Might be Prime. Amazon Prime. And it's very scary, by the way. There's some really scary bits. The very first episode of that, it really pull you in because it is like full-on horror-style drama shit, stuff that goes bump in the night. That is, I watched some of MacGyver. Show called From. There you go, Ray. Yep. Ray got it. Oh, so Carthor, if you're trying to paste a link, just letting you know that unless you're an admin, YouTube won't show up any links. So if you're pasting stuff and it looks like it's going through but it's not appearing, if you paste anything with a URL, it just disappears into the ether. Gone. YouTube likes to delete your comments for some reason. It's not me. It's not me. I didn't do it. So yeah, From. Thank you, Carthor. Thank you, everyone who mentioned it. I see a few people here that have said from. Show called From. I appreciate everyone who remembered, yes. So From, I really enjoy this. I think it's 2 or 3 series that have happened so far. I think there's possibly more. There are times where it drags, and there are some times where there's a few little mechanisms they use that annoy the crap out of me. But I do like the way the show works. It's got that sort of... an episode will give you... for every question there is, they'll give you an answer, but then another 2 questions. So you have enough going on to kind of keep you interested, because they'll explain why something is happening, but then there'll be a bit more mystery, and it's nice. As I say, the last series in particular, there were a couple of times where I was getting a little bit tired of some of the delivery of the lines and stuff like that. But on the whole, I quite enjoyed that one. Star Wars, Disney Plus. See, I have lost interest in so many of the franchises since they have been just smashed. So if you're talking about the Star Trek franchise, the Star Wars franchise, where the Marvel franchise, where they've just been pumping out these series and they're just pumping out content after content after content, and they're just pushing these things over and over again. And I've just totally lost interest. I watched the first series of Mandalorian, and I watched a bit of the second series, I think. Possibly. Might have even watched the whole second series. I'm not sure. I can't remember. And I enjoyed it on the whole. But I just feel like the the studios are just like, oh, well, let's make another one. Let's make another one. Wow. We haven't looked at this from this angle yet, have we? And I'm just sick of it. I really am. I much prefer stuff that has some originality to it. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't enjoy these franchises. I mean, like for instance, I enjoy Lord of the Rings. I enjoyed the Hobbit movies, but when they brought out the series, I really struggled. I mean, I watched all of the first series. I had to watch it on my own. Seriously, my wife lost interest so fast. I had to watch it on my own, and I don't know. I was so ready for it to finish when it finished. It was so slow. Can someone explain Captain America to me? There's this new Captain America movie coming out, and it's got the black guy with the wings. What the... Can someone explain that to me in a way that I'm going to... Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old. I mean, I understood in the original Captain America movie that the doctor who came up with the serum that made Captain America died. Sorry, spoiler alert. And therefore, there would be no more Captain Americas. So how come there is a new Captain America movie with the black guy? How did he become Captain America? Did I miss a movie? I feel like I might have missed a movie. Change of characters after Endgame. I haven't seen a movie since Endgame. I'd watch your live stream any day before I watch that crap on Disney Plus. Thank you, I appreciate that. Watch the Orville. I love the first couple of series of the Orville. I haven't watched the latest one. I'm not a big fan of the Doctor character in that, the actress. I'm not a big fan of hers. It's nothing... I've seen her in loads of stuff, and I've never been much of a fan of her acting. Just in general. And that happens. I mean, there are some people that just, you watch someone on a movie and just go, I don't particularly like that actor. And I don't particularly like the actor that plays the part of the Doctor on the Orville. And I felt like they just started featuring her more and more and more. And as they did that, I started to actually retract. Started to lose interest. But God, the first series of the Orville, and then the second one, actually, as well, had some really good stuff in it. Explained it in the comic art, not on screen. Oh, okay. Can you believe they're doing Fantastic Four again? Good grief. Are you a Whovian? Yes, I am, Paul. I'm a vintage Whovian, so I grew up with John Pertwee and Tom Baker, Doctor Who. So they, I even nearly met Tom Baker. So I went to a book signing thing with Tom Baker when I was just a little one. I don't know what age I was, but I was bloody young. And he was at a local shopping centre, local to where I lived at the time. And and so there was a huge queue, and my dad was sort of like, do you want to wait? And I always got to see him. I sort of watched him saying hello to all the young people in the queue and signing the books and stuff. But I was like, the queue was massive, and so it was like Dad sort of asked, do you want to wait? I'm like, nah. Baker was Tom Baker was a great Doctor Who. I mean, I love John Pertwee as well. But yeah, Tom Baker. It wasn't just Tom Baker that did it. At that time, the creative team behind Doctor Who were doing a really good job. It was a great ensemble. They were making really good, entertaining episodes. And I would say to people that, I mean, even, okay, you can see all of the silliness with the bubble wrap special effects and stuff, but they were still very entertaining episodes, I thought. Sorry, I just got to check. The chat's moving here faster than I can. Never watched Enterprise. Jerry, I never watched Enterprise. No reason specifically for... Sorry, I keep banging the microphone, sorry. Good night, Mark Anning. Thank you for joining. The Fantastic Four movie looks mildly interesting, and I will agree with that. The only movie I watched in the past 7 years was Top Gun Maverick. Well, I've watched lots of movies, and I've watched some very good ones. I have a few issues with Top Gun Maverick just from a purely factual point of view, just like from some of the stuff that happened in that movie, like that would never happen. But it was very entertaining. It was definitely entertaining. There's no doubt about that. It was proper. It was good movie making. It was good drawing people in, you know. You got to remember that so many movies these days, so many movies just in general, not even these days, everyone, they're superhero movies. People go on about Marvel and they go on about DC superhero movies, but so many movies are superhero movies. Just think about it. Think about Sherlock Holmes. That's a superhero movie. Sherlock Holmes is this person that has this incredible brain solving things. You know, he's a superhero. He has a skill that no one else has. James Bond, superhero film. He's someone, again, that has, physical ability, mental ability. You know, he's a spy. He can do things, work his way out of problems that no one else can. So many of these sorts of movies are superhero movies. They are a superhero formula, even if they're not actually a technically speaking superhero. And, you know, I mean, Top Gun Maverick, it's a superhero movie. This guy, he can fly a plane like no one else can. He's got this super mega skill that no one else can fly a plane like he can. And so that's the thing that, you know, that really sort of keeps you going with the film. It's like, oh, no one can fly that, but oh, he can, you know. And I find that with so many movies that they are ultimately just a disguised superhero film. So, and I love watching that sort of movie. I really do. Blue Thunder is the only movie with a helicopter as a superhero. I've never watched that. In my youth, I remember seeing trailers for Blue Thunder on other movies that I watched. But he's, you know, thinking about another movie of a similar genre. I think about Under Siege. Under Siege with Steven Seagal. Now, Steven Seagal just seems to be one of the worst human beings on the planet, just based on the stuff that I've read. I don't know that, I've never met him, but he just seems to be a real ratbag. But in that movie Under Siege, they just got the chemistry right. They got it really good. And again, it's a superhero film. Here is this guy, he's a cook. But okay, there's your Clark Kent. But he's also an ex-Navy SEAL with an expert in explosives. There's your Superman. So you've got your Clark Kent Superman going on in Under Siege. I mean, that is a superhero film 100%. You can't tell me it's not. Airwolf. See, I never watched Airwolf. I've heard of Airwolf. I'm not sure that Airwolf was ever aired out here as a regular. It may have been. But I have heard of it, but never seen it. Always did think that Daleks are a bit overfeared, though. RPG, right. to the dome swivel. Yeah, I mean, that was always the issue with Daleks. Is at the end of the day, you sort of feel you kind of outfox them. It's like, yeah, I'm here, I'm there, I'm behind you, I'm behind you. Yeah. Just grab the thing sticking out and just yank it. You know, I'm going to just grab that and just yank it. Having said that, there are some episodes of Doctor Who with the Daleks, particularly the older ones with, sort of Tom Baker and, Genesis of the Daleks with Tom Baker. It's a great one. That's where we get to meet Davros for the first time. Great, sort of, what would you call it, episode. It's kind of weird to call it an episode because it's like 5 episodes, but it wasn't like a series or 4 episodes or something. And there was another one. There was another Dalek one with John Pertwee that I really enjoyed as well. Am I wrong for enjoying this part of the stream the most? No. I mean, I'm enjoying it. I'm having a great time. But at the end of the day, it's just me prattling on. I mean, far out. I'll stop doing anything technical. I'll just remember. I don't know if anyone recalls this, but what's his name? What's his name? The guy that does the repairs to the laptops. This is what happens when you drink. You can't remember stuff. Lewis Rossman. He used to do all these repair videos. He used to spend all this time on them, and I remember listening to him whinge and complain about, I do all these repairs, and then and then people tell me that they're way too long, so I spend all this time editing them, and then the edited ones barely get watched. And then at some point, he then sort of stopped doing these repair videos, and he just started parking himself in front of a camera with a microphone and just giving social commentary. And I tell you what, that guy speaks so fucking fast. I mean, he could say so much in a very short span of time. And those videos, and with his cat and stuff, those videos just started getting, like, the views just went through the roof. And I was just sort of thinking, God, wouldn't that be cool? That'd be great if people would just sit there and watch me talk. I don't think I've got interesting enough stuff to say, but it's just, I stopped watching at that time because I stopped watching Rossman at that time because I had a purely technical interest in what he was doing, purely technical interest in the repairs and stuff like that. When he stopped doing repairs and just started doing social commentary, I just lost interest. But I cannot blame him for going down that path based on his viewer numbers. Paul Biley, when the Daleks learned to climb stairs, Daleks became scary, and I think they first did that in the, what's his name? The Doctor that then was also in The Hobbit as Radagast. I can remember bloody Radagast, but I can't remember his name. Oh, it's right here. It's right here. It's right on the tip of my brain. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Far out. I can't think of it. But anyhow, I believe that during that time, that was when they started to be able to hover. Yeah, listening to Rossman prattle after 2 weeks. Yeah, 1 to 2 hours a day was too much. Yeah, I get you. You've met Lewis. How about that? Yeah, he's often commented in his live streams that he's not very tall. I mean, I'm not very tall either. I'm 5'9". So, Sylvester McCoy, thank you very much, Ray. Champion. Normally, I can just run these names straight off, my tongue. They're normally just right there, but I have been drinking. So, Sylvester McCoy, what a bloody legend. Has anyone ever seen him in Secret Policeman's Ball? I don't know if anyone else is aware of the Secret Policeman's Ball, but it was a movie. They released it on VHS and stuff at the time. And it was a performance that was done, I think, for charity. And it had a lot of members of Monty Python and various other people. And they were doing skits and stuff like that. And I think Billy Connolly was there, and a whole bunch of other people. Anyhow, the original Secret Policeman's Ball, and on that there was a skit with Sylvester McCoy in it, and he's very unlike Doctor Who in that, I can tell you. I've never been particularly fussed about my height. I've never been someone being, oh God, I wish I was taller. I mean, I don't know. If I was really, really short, maybe. I'm not short. I'm not tall. I'm kind of in the middle. Average, of course, is going up. I used to be what you would consider average height, but I'm probably a bit under average these days because there are so many bloody tall people around. But so many of my friends are tall. I just don't give a shit. It's like, it's like my cousin is like 6'2" or something like that, and then sort of my other mates are like 6'1", 6'2". I'm standing around talking to them. I feel like I'm in the bottom of a valley, but I don't care. Who gives a shit? Shrink as you age. I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and I work all day. I chop down trees, I eat my lunch, I go to the lavatory. On Wednesdays I go shopping and have buttered scones for tea. Sorry, I'll stop that. Life on Mars is... Yes, okay. Jerry, Life on Mars, I have watched... Not all of it, but I've watched the first couple of series. That was a very good series. Met Tim Cook in New York City. I shook his hand at the opening of the Fifth Avenue store and the launch of the iPhone 11. How about that? I used to work with this woman, young woman. I mean, she was then young. She's not. She's probably my age now. I don't know. I can't remember how old she was. She was probably a bit younger than me at the time. And she was 6'4", 6'4", yeah. And we had a bit of a communication issue, but on the whole, she was a nice person. I liked her. Not an unattractive woman either, I've got to say. She's not like the woman on Game of Thrones. The one, the tall one on Game of Thrones? Whatever her name was. So there are mosquitoes around here. I'm not just waving at nothing. Can't remember her name, but the one from Game of Thrones. And this person that I worked with was that height or maybe even a little bit taller. We did measure her one day. She used to lie about her height. She used to say she was shorter than she was. Probably embarrassed by it, I'm not sure. But one day when we were at work, we did actually all line up on the wall and measure, and she was, 6 foot, I think 6'4". And I remember one day we finished work around about the same time, so we were all heading back to the train station because we worked in the city. And we're just walking back from the train station. And as I walked to the train station with her standing next to me, I could not believe the reactions. I mean, seriously, I felt so sorry for her. Because, this was just her life. Anywhere she would go. She had this classic line that people used to say, because just about everyone that ever met her said, "Do you play basketball?" And she would reply with, "No, but I love kickboxing." And I thought that was a really cool response for someone to ask that. Oh, what's happened? Camera. Oh, the chicken cam. So I've ordered a new one. I've ordered one, and it's one that has PTZ. So was that pan, tilt, and zoom. It is coming from the overseasness. It's coming from the United States of America. And it should be here probably next week sometime, I would think, maybe the week after. So I will be replacing the Chook cam with a new camera, and we will actually be able to go in and zoom in and look at chickens. So that's coming. The Equalizer. TV series. I know there's a movie Equalizer, but I don't think I've seen the TV series Equalizer. Post-traumatic zoom. So when I started with security cameras, I just bought some from JCar. And they were great. I mean, I was happy with them. They're massively underpowered. They needed bigger CPUs in them, but they did the job. But then when I decided that I wanted to get some more security cameras, I then went to a friend, Jay from the House of Moth, and said, look, what can you recommend? He said, oh, look, this is a brand that's pretty cheap, but they do all the stuff. Does all the stuff. And, I recommend these. So I bought a couple of those. I've got them mounted at the front of the house. So I've got one out pointing out the front, up the driveway. I've got one pointing up the street that way. And I've been really, really happy with them. So I ordered another one of those. That's going to replace the chook cam. And so that will then give us, a bit better view of the chooks. It's the main reason why I set up security cameras in the first place is if I go on holidays, I like to be able to see the chickens. I like to be able to see how they're going because it's all a bit weird. At the moment, we've got some fucking ravens that are stealing the eggs. They're very smart. Ravens are like big versions of crows. They're like a larger version of a crow, and they've got the same brains as a crow, and they're really freaking smart, and they are very, very good at stealing eggs from the chickens. And we have got a gang of them hanging around here at the moment, and they are starting to piss me off. And I love them. I love them. I love ravens. But when they get together, there's probably 5 or 6 of them. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to try and find some way of protecting the eggs because we are losing eggs to these freaking ravens. So, yeah. That's how much longer the live stream is going for. It's not much longer. I do apologise. I apologise if I'm getting boring and drunk. That does happen. Oh, that's starting to get a little warm. Set up a paintball marker gun as an AI sentry gun. Yeah, I mean, look, I could probably come up with something. But you see, the thing that gets me is every time I come down, every time I step out into the yard, the ravens just take off. So I'm sort of like, what were you up to? So when I get the camera back, I'll be able to observe them and I can sort of see what they're doing. They're sneaky fuckers. I mean, you got to give ravens credit. We've got some really smart birds here. We've got sulphur-crested cockatoos. Now, I don't know how well people outside of Australia know sulphur-crested cockatoos. People in Australia will know them very well. But they're a very large white cockatoo with a yellow sulphur crest, which they can sort of do this with. Yeah, like that. And they're a lovely bird with incredible character. And they live till they're like about 90 years old or something like that. I mean, they're an absolutely amazing bird. But they just kind of live their lives for a bit of fun. I mean, they're just kind of out there for fun. And who's going? BC. Good night. Good night, BC Jeffro. I'll be finishing soon, so don't worry. You won't miss anything. I'm just prattling on at this stage. These sulphur-crested cockatoos, they generally fly around in gangs, and they just cause mischief. They just entertain each other and just be silly buggers. And I can't even remember the point of the story that I was telling about the sulphur-crested cockatoos. But yeah, so they have got very good. The sulphur-crested cockatoos have got very adept at opening what we call bins, what Americans call trash cans. So we have the big plastic ones with the flip-top lid, which generally out here they generally call them auto bins, or wheelie bin. Auto bin, wheelie bin, one of the two. And they've got really good at opening the lids to these things. They can kind of get their beaks on the little hand grip things, and then they use their bodies, because they're quite a big bird, to just generally push them open, and they can then get in and get whatever is in the bin out of it. Corellas can be destructible when a flock get to a tree. Oh yeah, totally. We have a lot of corellas here, though, so we get sulphur-crested cockatoos here in pretty good numbers, but the corellas, we get heaps of corellas, and they fly in big gangs. They look like a sulphur-crested cockatoo that needs sleep. They just got kind of puffy eyes, and I mean, they're wonderful birds, but again, they're kind of living a carefree life. They're just trying to entertain themselves, and you could find yourself, you find yourself going for a walk down the street. I'm just going for a walk, and then something will just kind of land in front of you. It's like, what the hell was that? And there'll be like a cockatoo up in a tree above you that just clipping things, with their beak, they just chop a branch off, and they are literally trying to drop it on your head. Not because they're trying to hurt you, they're just having a bit of fun. It's just like, yeah, fuck them. They'll just go up there and just clip a little bit of, a little pruning of the tree, and they'll just try and drop it on your head, just for a bit of fun. I love them. They're beautiful birds. Otto was a brand name. Yes, Otto was a brand name. So the very first willy bins that arrived in Australia, they were all branded Otto. So that was how they started being known as Otto bins. But then that probably then dissipated a bit, and now they're just wheelie bins. There's that whole, that joke, was it, where's your bin? And then where's your wheelie bin? I don't remember the joke, so I'm not going to tell it. That was so funny. I saw a stack of sulphur-crested cockatoos in the Blue Mountains. They are big. Yeah, they are a big bird. Magpies can be a-holes if they want to be, but certainly in this area where I am here, because my wife and I walk, we do walks in the general area, we're well known, because magpies are really good at remembering faces. So wherever we generally walk around the area, we will, because magpies have this thing of dive bombing. They attack when they're nesting, and they can do some serious damage. Because they can be a very aggressive bird if they want to be, and they'll peck away and draw blood and stuff like that. People on push bikes, people on bikes, they're the ones that are at greatest risks. The speed they're moving. When you're walking, you generally don't have to worry as much, but magpies do get very good at recognizing faces. So if you are known in the area, you're more likely to get attacked in an area where you're not known, where they don't know your face. So because my wife and I do, we walk around the area a lot. We're known by the local magpies, and I'm not saying we're on a first name basis or anything like that, but they know our faces. So when it is nesting season, we don't get dive bombed. Another bird that does do dive bombing is the masked lapwing here in Australia, which is also known as the spur-wing plover. That's not a correct term, but it's the term that a lot of them are known by, and they dive bomb as well. But yeah. Talking about birds now. Is your bin running? How have your wheelie been? So there we go. Bin file. Oh yeah, now we're starting to get into Linux territory here, aren't we? Into your bin files and stuff like that. This stream has gone to the birds. My goodness, look. We're that far away from finishing it. I need to get up and have some dinner. So, well, what I would need to say, first of all, as the usual wrap-up sort of thing, what I will say is, of course, thank you to everyone who has joined me here tonight. Once again, if you do want to watch this again, you will need to bookmark it, because I will be taking it from public to unlisted as soon as the live stream finishes. And that's mainly because I do make a bit of a dick out of myself when I do these. I want to say thank you to everyone who joined tonight, who watched. If there's anyone who is watching who isn't normally able to watch because I'm in a different time stream, to you I would say I don't normally do these drunk. So this isn't the same as every other stream that I do. But and if you don't, I'm not a big fan of my drunken behaviour, I do apologise. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much. I mean, I have really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that's come up in the chat tonight. We've just talked about all sorts of stuff, varying all sorts of topics. It's been wonderful, so I really appreciate it. And it's been a nice little break from politics in general, because that is not a particularly fun thing at the moment. So, got a dam here. Plovers lay eggs and take over. They're ground nesting bird, which of course I feel very sorry for him, because at the end of the day, with the introduction of all of the different sort of hunting mammal species like cats and dogs and stuff like that, ground nesting birds don't do so well. So I do feel sorry for them. I really do. But yeah, Equalizer TV series came out before the movie. Well, I didn't know that. Is it an African swallow? No, it's a European swallow. On your paw. Foxes, yes, we cannot forget foxes. My goodness me. So basically what happened when the British came and colonised this area, one of the first things they did is they decided they wanted to make it more like where they came from. So they came and they just brought a whole bunch of species of animals here without any thought for what it would do for the local ecosystem. So they brought foxes and they brought plovers and they brought all sorts of things. They were just like, yeah, we're going to bring all this. They brought rabbits and yeah, I mean, the damage, I mean, the number of species that have become extinct since we were colonised is very upsetting. It's not something that I think we can be terribly proud of. But yeah, that's kind of what happened. Sparrow carrying a coconut. Oh man, I love that. I love that. You know, it's not a question of where he grips it. Oh dear. Anyhow, sorry. I digress. I'm going to go make myself a frozen pizza. Thanks again to everyone who joined me tonight. I really appreciate it. It has been a really fun time. It's been a great way for me to spend a Thursday night. Back to Earth tomorrow. It's just a normal work day for me tomorrow. So, yippee. So, once again, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting, all that sort of stuff. Thank you for the lively chat. I do apologise that I just completely stopped doing anything technical and just talked for like the last hour, probably. And I do hope to see you at the next live stream. So for everyone who joined, thanks again. And we scroll down and we find the button here that goes... It's here somewhere. Hang on, I haven't found it yet. It's here somewhere. I called it outro. I used to call it end stream, but it's now called outro. Okay, no worries. I remember that now. Okay, thanks again. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.